Your greatest asset as a photographer is also your greatest constraint. It requires frequent maintenance and attention. It's not mechanical. I'll explain. You are coming. For when we do things like this, I'm going to follow these bunny tracks. Make sure I've got all my gear, my cameras. What we're looking for are depressions with different contrast, tone. This is a hollow. I'm not sure if the camera will pick that up, but that could be water. We have a bunny and something else. I don't know what that is. It's a fox. That's a fox. In case you're wondering, I walk like this because I don't have my spikes. Whenever I think there's a chance I might break through, you want to be able to grip the edges to facilitate your struggle to escape the frigid, cold water. Well, I'm back inside in between trunges on the ice. And as promised, I'm going to explain to you what your greatest asset and corresponding constraint is for a photographer. They have a great deal to do with this. This is a tube of paint. This tiny tin tube revolutionized the art world, and in fact, it revolutionized the entire world, which had previously been controlled by the wealthy for the wealthy. This tiny tin tube facilitated the transit of art from the parlor, the salon, and the studio to the shore and the meadow. It allowed, for the first time, the pursuit of movement and the dynamic, fleeting flow of light upon life. This tube, along with the camera and mechanical reproduction of art, changed absolutely everything. Your vision and mindfulness is your greatest asset. And what I mean by that is your inner vision. But I also mean your eyeball vision. In particular, the where, why, and when you point your eyeballs. Your truth and the transparency of your intention are your role as an artist. It's your job. You don't have to wade through the debris that life and/or social media increasingly cast into your frame. You can choose to make photography the map of your awareness, and with perseverance, quite possibly, the map of the awareness of others. It and you don't have to deliver quaint, tidy, composed narratives. Embrace the ambiguity. Embrace the empathy, the curiosity, and most of all, the confusion of life. Let printing be your filter. Without it, without that three-dimensional, tangible reproduction of your thought, you'll never truly possess your work, and you won't be able to communicate it. If you care about what you do and the things that you created, you're going to have to display them. Spend time with the printed work. evaluate it. You're your own best and worst critic. A photographer that can't read their own photography is illiterate. These are the size of my batteries for my Sony APS-C. That's why in the winter, especially at -20, I can't film outside. I have to restrict that to inside, so that means in the car. The porta studio, as it were. -20 and colder. No way to stay out for longer than 2 or 3 hours at a time without freezing. That's why I'm in the car for a warming break. It's been a great week and a half, 2 weeks out there, chasing down these shapes and forms I have in my head. As I was coming off the ice, I was moving in around a few of those inectex, the broken boulder plunging things, and moving in through the scrub on the shoreline. And I noticed a deer, and I just quietly sat there, holding my breath. No good work is truly spontaneous. It's all cultivated. It's all carefully crafted. I try to remember Georgia O'Keeffe, not the nude photographs created by her husband Stieglitz, the art gallery owner and curator that brought Picasso and Cézanne and all the Impressionists to North America, but the Georgia O'Keeffe who struggled. It's as if my mind creates shapes that I didn't know existed. I get this shape in my head, and sometimes I don't know where it comes from, and sometimes I do. I transform that thing by deep looking, eventually getting to a place where subject and object interpenetrate. This angle here, I've got some shape. Now, of course, shadows are what give your shapes form and make them become three-dimensional.
So close to me.
I mentioned Georgia O'Keeffe and her husband Stieglitz. He's pretty much solely responsible for introducing modernist and impressionist art to the U.S. A lot of people aren't aware of that. That's how close Georgia O'Keeffe is to photography. She took probably at least 400 photographs that we know of during her own career, and she painted from them at times. So, what is this OG technique? Equivalence, interior escape, vision, inner vision. Using what you see as a means to express what you feel. Alfred Stieglitz, Georgia O'Keeffe's husband, the art dealer, the gallery owner, that brought modern art to North America. He also brought the concept of photography, of modernism and abstract. You see, he lived during the transition period between orthochromatic and panchromatic film. Before panchromatic film, you couldn't capture a beautiful, detailed sky. It was always washed out. That film is not sensitive to red light, only blue and green. When panchromatic film came out and was widely available, he, of course, would have been one of the first people to get his hands on it. He was already with Georgia O'Keeffe for about 8 or so years by that time. Well acquainted with abstract, and he knew at that point he could finally do what he wanted to do. It was capture clouds as a means of illustrating how he felt. Generally about himself, but also as an artist. Not surprisingly, all the cool kids wanted in on it. And the cool kids in his crowd, in George O'Keeffe's crowd, the people that sat around the campfire on their art excursions, Ansel Adams, Paul Strand, Minor White, and a lot more. As modern photographers, we owe a great deal to this tube of paint. What it allowed artists in Europe to do, and what artists in North America identified as significant and worthy of exploration. Photography, orthochromatic versus panchromatic film, all of these things. What you see inside your head, the interior scape, is what Stieglitz and Minor White, among others, but initially Stieglitz and Minor White, referred to as equivalence or equivalencies. And so that is the technique I've been using over the last 3 sunny but bleak winter weeks. Feeling stifled and locked up indoors, only getting out during the mildest of days when it was hovering at -20 and no wind or very little wind. That's what I was seeking. And because Georgia O'Keeffe figures into this so dominantly in terms of what she brought to photography and to North American art, founding the actual North American school of what we might call modernism or abstract. Those were the images that were forming inside my head. And I didn't know what they were, just like she didn't, until I saw them, and there they were. And so, from the light and the shadow and the real world, I created that abstract floral image, that photograph of what I call the stinking rose. And what I refer to as stinking was because I spent so much time hovering and orbiting around that feature and photographing it from every conceivable angle, in every conceivable light, I eventually broke through the ice. And the hydrogen sulfide on the bottom of that slough, of course, erupted. So that will forever be the stinking rose, inspired by none other than Georgia O'Keeffe and Alfred Stieglitz. That's the technique. I hope you found that amusing. Dig deep, brothers and sisters. You are a photographer. I like this place and could willingly
waste my time here. That's Shakespeare, from As You Like It. Art, don't you know? The kissing cousin literature of photography. Brings to mind that old myth about chimpanzees, if given typewriters and enough time, could create a Shakespearean play. It's not true. Woodcock and Filletta, two Australian mathematicians, did the math on that not too long ago. As it turns out, it's completely impossible. The odds are basically non-existent, something like 1 million billion to 1. However, what they also did in their proof was illustrate that a single chimpanzee, typing 1 keystroke per second for their entire life, could have a 5% chance of typing the word bananas. No shit. Brings to mind the whole concept of vision, the interior scape. Would that chimp have to be willing and of its own volition, attempting to transmit that message from its mind to a three-dimensional object? Would it be that chimp that could type the word bananas? Or would it be any chimp? I wonder how we'd rate that. Would it be the Raven procedural indices? That visual IQ test? I don't know. But on another note, your visual interior scape is what drives you as a photographer.
What's that, you ask? Isn't it a little unnerving being out here on the ice all alone? Yeah, but it's worth it.